Hi, intuitive viewers. Welcome to the channel. I have a special guest here today. I really wanted to talk to this lovely lady. This is Kim. She is a medium. She's also a hospice nurse. And I have been really wanting to chat with Kim for a lot of reasons, but welcome to the channel, Kim. Hello.
Thank you so much, Kim. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me and welcoming me. So I really appreciate it. You've been so wonderful already to me. So even before this.
You. Well, thank you. And we're both Kim, so that's not confusing at all. Kim C's, even we both had the last name C
Oh
too.
my goodness.
Okay. So Kim, I wanted to talk to you first of all, because in the United States, of course, around the world, we've had COVID, but not only, in the United States have people had so much loss when it comes to their jobs, businesses, time, life events, but all of this loss of life that's been around us for over a year now. And even if you haven't lost anyone personally to COVID or personally during this time, it's the trauma of just seeing all of the death around us, especially if you're not used to it, if it's not something you've experienced in your life. But I really wanted to speak to you because you have such a beautiful way of talking about death, transition, people passing away that is so comforting. I wanted you to kind of just talk a little bit about what you call this death as a sacred moment.
Yes.
And also as you talk about the body getting smaller as the spirit is getting bigger, which I love that idea. So talk a little bit about those things.
Okay. Well, first of all, yes, we have had so much loss, and I believe that it is kind of a PTSD for the whole world, actually.
Yeah.
Right? As you mentioned, all those losses. And so there's a lot of grief in the air. And I think it's going to take a while to process for the ones that are here. But for the ones that are on the other side, I feel like they are staying pretty close because it was an important time to transition. And maybe this was part of their contract. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly about that. But as far as the sacredness of passing, and I truly believe that it is a sacred moment. I believe that when somebody goes into the other world, they are greeted by a multitude. Really, I don't think it's the same for every person. Some people it's Archangel Azrael. Some people it's Jesus. Some people it's their grandmother and grandfather, the whole family. And it's usually generations. So that's what I think is so, it's a celebration on the other side. And they are getting ready for the party. I mean, and I believe they get ready for about 6 weeks ahead of time. Somehow they know. Right. And they gather around, and there's usually, from my experience as a medium, when I'm sitting at the bedside, I see 1 or 2 people like the leaders of the party. So there is just loads of love and welcoming. And so when that person who's transitioning, they're in this body, the body is getting smaller because the body's getting weaker. Now we're talking about an illness type of a death, right. not a sudden death. So as the body's getting smaller, the spirit is expanding because they are becoming more aware, and it's pretty much universal. They are aware of the spirit world. They become mediums. They have conversations. They say, don't you see all the angels in here? Oh, you don't see my brother? Oh, and then they're talking about their mom and what they did when they were, 10 years old. So they do a life review sometimes, and they're talking about it, and they think everybody else can see it too. And then if you kind of say, well, no, I'm not really seeing that, that kind of brings them out of that. Just like when you're awake from a dream, it's better just to kind of go along with it. Just because, and then that encourages this whole process, and that way it's an easier transition to go, because it is a world of love, this side, a big world of love, especially if there's a lot of family members that are nearby, which usually a lot of family members want to, come visit and say their goodbyes. And then there's a whole other side too, which actually there's going to be way more on the other side. So they're stuck, Until they know
Right.
they can go, they probably won't go until they feel like it's okay with the family here.
Right. Right.
So it is
And
a sacred, yeah.
and I think the story about Eric that you tell on your channel, I think encompasses so much of what you were just talking about. So can you tell people about Eric?
Yeah, first of all, that's a very special passing, and it's a recent one for me.
Mhm.
It was just on Super Bowl. I know I put it on my channel about, he died on Super Bowl Sunday.
Mhm.
And so Eric, and I'm using a fictitious name, by the way.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so because they may watch this, who knows, right?
Right.
The family, but they would be okay with it, but that's still,
Yeah.
So, and being only on the weekends, I only work on the weekends, so he's not my regular patient, but I met him on a Saturday and he died on a Sunday. So when I was there on Saturday, he was pretty much minimally responsive, which means he might respond to verbal cues. Where I say verbal cues, talking, maybe a little bit,
Right.
maybe just fluttering his eyes or maybe squeezing his hands or something like that. And he might respond also to tactile stimuli. So, by touch, if you touch him, he would respond, right? Maybe
Right.
squeeze a hand. Okay, so that's where he was on Saturday. But he looked very close. He was only breathing about 8 times a minute. And when I went into the room, by the way, and he was young. He was only I can't remember now, in his 50s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and he was a retired physician, and he had been a longtime partier, and I think drink a lot. And so he was dying from alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver.
Okay.
So that makes it even, there's a lot of grief with that too, right? Because what would have happened if he stopped drinking earlier?
Right. Right.
So, it caused a divorce in the family, but he was being taken care of by his ex-wife in her apartment and their daughter together. Their daughter reminds me kind of Cassie. I mean, just like this amazing young woman.
An old soul.
Yes, and only 16 years old. And they had another little dog, and they had a little dog also. So those are the three caregivers, and so when I first walked in, it was, being sensitive to the spirit world, I knew that I just knew his mom and dad were there. It was just, I could feel the big guy. I could feel her. I could see what she was wearing. She was wearing a white, it looked like a wedding dress, kind of like she's going to a wedding. They looked like they were going to a wedding. They were dressed up. And so when I see the family members on the other side dressed up, ready for the party, then I know it's usually within 24 hours.
Okay. All right.
Because, yeah, if they're not dressed up, if they're in their gardening clothes or whatever, then we've got a little time.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is a big deal to cross over. They do. It's like going to a wedding here or something, or a huge celebration. It really is a big deal. So so I knew that, and I kind of said to the family, I'm wondering, was he close to his dad, or I just opened up the door a little bit to see what they'd say, and I say, tell me more. So they were really excited, especially the daughter who's 16. She's like, oh yes, I'm interested. I want to tell me more. What are they doing over there? And so what I could see was that they were setting, and it did look like the dad was kind of like the leader of the whole party. Right. And it was a big outdoor area. I saw each table had watermelon. I know that sounds weird, but it had watermelon on it. And I said, well, I see watermelon. I thought it was watermelon. I wasn't positive it was watermelon, but I knew it was a red fruit. And what the family told me was that the dad, now I don't know why they're doing this for the dad's favorite food, but that was his favorite food.
Oh, okay. And that was my favorite food.
Usually they do the person who's passing favorite food, but I don't know why they did it that way. But anyway, so and you could tell you see the children, like playing. It was just like a big, like, excitement. Okay.
Right.
So what we did that day, and this is like around 9 o'clock at night, when I was out seeing them. And I was there a long time telling them what was happening in the spirit world because they were just so interested.
Yeah.
And we did a little adjustment of the medicines, because as somebody's transitioning, they usually get short of breath. So there's medicine for that, or if there's pain, of course, there's, usually it's the same medicine can be used for pain or shortness of breath. Just repositioning, just different things like that. And families tend to be a little afraid to use medicine. So, we just reassuring, and then reassuring that this is who he's going to meet. Everything's going to be fine. All right. So then I go home the next day. I'm maybe getting too many details here.
No,
Okay,
please go. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So then when I go back the next day, the family had asked me to get there at 5 o'clock, which was they also told me that he loved to party and he loved Super Bowl. And then I got in my mind, okay, he's probably going to die during the time of Super Bowl.
Right.
And Super Bowl did happen to start around 5 o'clock, at least in my time zone. So I did happen to get there right around 5, and he was breathing better than he was the day before, but you could tell his body was getting smaller. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
You could tell he was dwindling. He had a more far away look. Okay. He's definitely going more within.
Right.
And they had told me that he was very worried about who was going to take care of his girls when he was gone. He was very protective of them.
Right.
Anyway, as he'd been the same all day, no change, the same respirations, same heart rate, same way he looked. And they were like, what is going on? And so I tuned in again, I did see this, I still saw the family, waiting the same, they were dressed the same and everything. And so I used just my hands to kind of feel. I usually feel the energy field around the body.
Right.
And I could feel, and I know I said this already, in my other video, but I could feel the heart was swirling really fast, and it felt like a tornado, like he didn't know where to go, like he was stuck in a spinning, didn't know how to go or where to land. That's what it felt like. And so I just kind of, you can use your hand to catch the energy. So I usually use my left hand when I'm working with the chakra. I just try to catch it, because if I can catch it, then I can slow it down. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
That does, yeah.
So I'm slowing it down, calming and talking to him, tell him that it's okay, and that it's okay. We're all here. It's okay for him to go. The girls are going to be fine. That was really important to know the girls are going to be fine. And I actually think he must have wanted somebody else to be there with them when he went.
Right. That makes sense.
As I was doing this, I could see he had angels on 4 sides of him. I could see a green. It was like a lime green color, a yellow, I think it was a pink, and kind of a whitish. I don't remember all the colors right now, but like the light colors. And they look to be like, I would say, everyday angels. There's these angels that are like tall as a building, and there's angels that are what I'd say everyday, that might be like 9 feet tall.
Okay.
At least from my perspective. But these are like everyday angels. And I said, now you're guarded by each side. Each side you've got an angel, and so you can go now. And I this has happened before to me. The moment you say you can go now, and if you say it in a voice that is a little like authoritarian, like it's okay to go.
Giving them permission, yeah.
Yes, even though they've been saying it all day.
Right.
They're probably saying, it's okay to go. It's okay to go,
Right.
But if you say, it's okay to go now, you can go now, and boom, you need to stop breathing. It was that fast and that easy. And then when I knew that he had stopped, we all kind of stepped back from him to let his spirit go wherever. In Europe, they always have the windows open, for the spirit to go. And I've seen doors open and close, and I always think, wow, it's got to be powerful spirits. I don't know if it's Archangel Michael. I don't know who it is, but the power to have front doors open, bedroom doors open, even when you close it, they open again. So that we just stepped back so that he had that space. And once we knew, gave him a couple minutes at least, that he wasn't going to breathe again.
Right.
Then they went back, it was like, start crying and holding
Of
on to them,
course,
and,
of course.
all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was so sweet. It's so sweet. You know what's hard right now too is that everybody had to wear a mask, and it's so hard when people are wearing a
Right,
mask.
right,
And I say, no, you don't. It's okay. I've already had my vaccines. I'm not worried. You don't have to wear
right,
kiss your
right,
husband through a mask.
right, right.
It's so sad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is such a beautiful story. And I think it illustrates so many parts of what different things you see each time. You talked about seeing angels many times. And sometimes you say, I don't see anything. Sometimes I just know because of my previous experience. And that's what kind of helps. But um, what I want to ask you though is about a couple of experiences that I had, a personal one that I had with a relative that passed away, but also a couple of things that came out in readings. I wanted to get your take on just what you
Okay.
thought.
Sure.
So my own story is I helped to take care of an aunt, and she had a lot of issues with taking uh, pain medicine. So it was a very slow, agonizing, hard passing. And it
Yeah.
was in hospice. But my previous experiences in hospice with my dad was very peaceful. And just like as you explained, it was very, very peaceful, very quick. And so I expected this to be the same.
Yeah.
And it was not at all. And I was traumatized afterwards, because this was just a few years ago, and it was before I did the channel or anything like that. And and we kind of like you, and that explains something too, because we kept saying, you can go now, but it was kind of like that. It was kind of like, you can go if you want, you can go, but it was a little bit, you know, difficult to see her go. I think she knew that we didn't want her to go, but we were there day after day after day, and she was just hanging on and hanging on. It was very hard.
Yeah.
And so just recently, I would say about maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I had a reading, and this woman was talking to me because she had been traumatized by the same thing. And so when I tuned in and asked about this, because she said, why did this happen? I kept saying for her to go. There's no reason why she should have had to suffer. There's, that this kind of thing. Oh, and I thought, okay, I'm going to ask this. And when the answer came, I knew it was for her, and I knew it was for me. And this was the answer. And so I want to get your take on this. They said, when I say they, my guides said, that there are some spirits that want to come in, and they want to have the experience of the breakdown of the body, the physical body. They want to have the experience of every single part of the physical, what happens with the physical body through their life, but also in death, that they wanted to experience. That was something they wanted to experience. And for me, it was almost like an aha, because my aunt she taught nursing. She was very interested in the medical everything, and very curious person. And her mother was the same way. She was very much into experiences, wanted to experience it all. And she said at one point, I even said to her, you want to experience this, don't you? You're really going to see this through to the end. And so when I said that, she just started to sob, and she said, I know that's right. I know that's right. And at the same time, I got that it was for me too. I was being told what was going on. So what do you think about that? And does that make sense maybe of some people that you've experienced that have gone through that, where you think, why are they hanging on like this?
Yes. So I think it's a variety of reasons that people do that. That people hang on. And I can understand that, especially if somebody does want to know everything, and some people aren't really, they can't take medicines. Most people do, and most people do want to be comfortable, but there are a few people that, like you say, if she couldn't take medicine, she was really experiencing what was happening to her body.
Right.
So that, and it does feel like suffering to us. And so, but to them, even though I'm sure she was probably in pain, it sounded like she was. But if that was what she was here to do, then to honor that.
Well, yeah. And I think also, I also got with it, which I should say in the reading as well, that she wasn't always in her body. She was
Oh,
coming
yeah.
and going. She was kind of in between.
Yes. Yes.
So she was experiencing it, and then she, would come out, and then she'd go back, and it really was yeah, that's how it was. But yeah, go ahead, Kim. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, everybody does that. Everybody comes
Okay.
and goes from their body at the end.
Okay.
It's not usually, I mean, we don't just go from awake like this and all of a sudden we're in the other world. It is a transition, and we're in and
Right.
out. We do. So that's pretty normal for everybody. But also I used to, when I was a beginner hospice nurse, I used to think, oh, well, we need to kind of like, let's move this along, right? I mean, like why? But then one time when I had a lady that I thought was hanging on for a really long time, and I tuned into where she was, and she was in a garden. So she was totally fine. She liked being in the middle of the world. She liked being between heaven and earth, or whatever you want to call it. She was enjoying her time, sometimes in the body, and then sometimes she was just in a garden.
Interesting. Yeah.
So at that point I thought, well, everybody has their own journey. We can't, so I just allow whatever it is, we give the opportunity as much as possible, letting them know it's okay to go.
Right.
But it's still their choice how they want to do it, and all the different the rituals, or the previous history of them and their spiritual belief system, that all comes up at the end.
Right. Right.
And some people say, oh, I'm ready. Oh yeah, I'm ready. But then they're not ready, because they're still here 2 months down the road.
Right. Right. Well, and doing this 20 years, Kim, have you noticed a difference in the people around them, that they're more accepting of the afterlife, more accepting of mediums, more accepting of, like you said, they were really, the people you were with really wanted to know, what do you see? What do you see? Do you find people are more open now than they were 20 years ago when you started doing this?
Yes. And I also wonder, is it location? Is it city or what? But I do notice that, like, the last 2 years, there's been a huge opening, awareness, spiritual awareness. And it's like, okay, normal. It's pretty much like they feel like it's normal. Everybody knows about, near-death awareness is normal. And I try to normalize it, as, some people are like, like, oh, really? But most people are very aware.
Yeah.
And even people who are very religious, and I find certain religions are more open to spiritual awareness at time of death.
Right. Right. And and I wanted to get your take on a couple of other things that just came out in readings. One was, I saw, because I don't really consider myself a medium. I am an intuitive empath, and I have had a lot of medium experiences for sure, but I don't feel like that's my main thing, if that makes sense.
I think you're medium. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. But I had a couple of experiences where people asked about their parents who had almost Alzheimer's, and wanted to know, like, what was happening with them, because they weren't communicating much anymore, when they were going to pass, if I could tell, like, if they were close or that kind of thing. One I thought was really neat. I saw a woman, it was a mom, and she was like in her 90s, but she had Alzheimer's. And she said, she just keeps hanging on, and we just kind of keep visiting her. And what I was seeing was that in the daytime, she was with her family here, and at night she would leave her body and go dance with her husband.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, they love to dance. And, but it was just so neat, that she'd spend the days with her family, and then she'd dance with her husband at night. And I thought that would be that is the perfect world, in a way, to be kind of 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And that seems to happen a lot, where, like you said, they kind of get comfortable, and they don't really want to leave here yet. They don't really want to go there yet. And so they're kind of in between.
That's right. And it's a lot with people with Alzheimer's and dementia.
Right.
They do early on, even before they start the dying process, they are in between worlds. And what I have found is that sometimes I can't tell if I'm talking with somebody, because when somebody with dementia comes into a reading, and if they're still alive, they do feel like they're crossed over. It's very common.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I also have felt, now I don't know if this isn't going to be true for everybody, but some of them really want to be able to just go, but their
Mhm.
body's holding on to them.
Right, right. Well, there is that with Alzheimer's, especially, there is that disconnect with mind and bodies, and you do think that that must throw off some kind of balance when it comes to the end. Maybe it needs to kind of shift back into balance or something.
Well, I
I
always
don't know.
believe whatever they say when I love working with people with dementia, because I'm right there. I can understand exactly what they're saying when they start talking about things that maybe other people don't get. You know, I get
Right.
it. And so if they say, yeah, I have 3 days left, I believe them. I mean, and usually they are
Right,
right. Or they're
right.
talking about their husband, like you say. Yes, absolutely. They do see their husband. So I love talking. I love working with them.
Right. And
Mhm.
I've had the other things I've seen in just in readings is um room the actual room filled with people like
Yes,
spirits.
yes,
And I've seen also times when people are very, very ill, but they're not quite close to passing. They're kind of in that where they're kind of getting terminal, getting ill,
mhm,
ill, that they're, close to when they're going to pass away, but they're not quite there yet. I've
uh-huh,
seen spirits kind of ministering to them, like putting their
yes,
like hands on, like praying over them. I've
yes,
seen that as well.
yes,
Um, but there
yes,
is this interesting and I try to explain this to the people I'm talking to, because I say when and I'm sure this is what you see as well. There's such sadness here,
yep,
but the joy there, everybody's waiting. Everybody's so excited when someone comes home. It
yes,
really is like someone is coming home from a long, long trip and everybody's waiting
that's
for
right,
them.
that's right, that's right. It feels like a long trip here, but it doesn't feel like a long trip over there.
Right.
You
You're
know,
just
'cause
here.
exactly. No, I agree that it is a celebration and it is sad here, but if we can approach it, the ones that are left here, that they are still with you, because the people that have crossed, I mean, I have walked into homes after they've passed, I'll still see that spirit sitting in their same favorite chair, you know,
Mhm.
or they're following around their loved one. I can see them like behind them. So they're not that far.
Right,
We just don't normally see them, but they are
right.
there.
They're there.
They are there. Yeah.
And it really is that, because we're still physical. So we
Yeah.
miss that physical person.
Yeah.
We miss that
Yeah.
physical touching, or that physical being able to communicate in the way we communicate. But they're still, I can attest to this as well. They're still trying to communicate with us. They're still aware of what's going on. They still feel the same way about us, and they know how we feel about them. It's all very, very immediate and very here. But there is a veil, right?
Yes, that's right. It's too bad. I think that we are getting more open. Most people are getting more open.
Yeah.
And I do believe if we ask our loved ones to send us a sign, whatever it may be, it could be just opening your hand and just noticing if they're touching your hand. That's an
Hmm.
easy one. Or
Hmm.
touching, ask them to touch your shoulder or hair, like the hair. Like I feel a lot on the top of my hair, a lot
Oh,
when
interesting. Uh-huh.
I'm trying to connect. But now I mean, I feel it in a lot of different ways too, but there's certain simple things, or feathers or pennies or birds.
Right.
There's so many ways that they bring signs, or
Absolutely.
music on the phone. Your phone all of a sudden starts playing a song, or the music on the
Mhm.
radio in your car all of a sudden plays their song. So that they try to let you know.
Right.
But some spirits are better at communicating than other spirits. Just like in here on Earth, some people are better
Right.
at communicate. Some people are quiet. Some people are more loud.
Hmm.
Same in the spirit world. Some in the spirit world want to come through feelings. Other people want to come through a vision. Other people want to come through speaking. So or smells, common. It's a common way, right? The perfumes or the smoke, or
Hmm.
so those are common ways they let you know that they're here. And they always do. They are very excited to let you know. And I do believe we can still have healing even after somebody's gone. If we feel like we've missed something, we didn't say something, I think sometimes people feel, oh, I wasn't there, or I didn't say what I wanted to say. You can still say it because they can still
Right.
hear you.
Right. Right. And you talk about the fact that that mediumship that we all kind of have, because I that's why I do my classes, because I feel like we all have abilities. We just need to figure out how we're being contacted, how we're being kind of communicated with. But you talk about the fact that that really comes through when people are moving to the other side, that they become like a medium.
Yes.
They can
Yeah,
see, and just like you.
absolutely. And better even, right? I
Yeah.
mean, um, so like, for instance, I walked into a lady's room, and she wasn't really dying, but she was pretty sick. And she was not a hospice patient at that point. But I definitely could feel, you could just get close to her body. You could feel the angels surrounding her bed. It was just like palpable. And I said to her, I said, do you believe in angels? And she said, oh yes, they're all around me. I said,
Oh.
yes, I know. They are, that's right. She said, they've been here for a few weeks.
Oh my gosh. Oh, isn't that funny? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
And it's such a comfort, I think, for people that have that knowledge and understanding, but also for the people that are left here, to know that
yes.
they're not alone. They're, and that's the other thing, is that they're never alone. They're from the time that they get even close to passing there. And I think that's so important with the COVID patients, for people to understand they are never alone. It was such a lonely passing for so many people, but they really were not alone. They really had people around them.
And I'm sure if they have a family member who's dying from COVID, the spirit world, and they're dying from COVID, you know they're going to be even surrounding them even more. They're going to move closer,
Right.
right? Because sometimes
Right.
the family steps back a couple feet, but I'm imagining that the spirit people will move closer in, at
Right.
that time when okay, that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does, because I think it's there's an awareness there of what's happening here, and what, and the fear that there may be more fear attached to what's happening than any other time, because like you said, it would happen so quick. You could be perfectly well, and 2 weeks later you're
Yeah.
close to death. It was that fast for people.
Yes, 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 I've seen that. Yeah, absolutely. I've been to a lot of deaths that people died from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And and the family tells me, we were just going to go see our son, for a birthday or something like that. We think we got COVID at the airport. I mean, you just hear these like, and
Right.
they were totally healthy before that. I know, and that is sad.
It's but this is why we're having this conversation, because I think so many people are still grappling, like I said, even if you didn't lose anyone personally, still trying to grapple with all of the death, 500,000 deaths. But I don't know about you, but I'm sure that it's true for you, but you can feel them close still.
Oh
I
yes,
feel like they're so aware still of what's happening, and family members, and what's going on here, and aware of the fact that it was traumatic, for the not only for the country, but for the world. It
oh
was
yes.
like a worldwide trauma.
I feel like they are surrounding us with light. The people that are on the other side that have died from COVID. And I mean, I feel like right now, this time on Earth, we are being surrounded. I actually had a dream of this. I saw layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of angels around the Earth now. And I also saw, this is interesting, I saw there was a little black, like a dark spot above the Earth, and the
Mhm.
angels that were next to this dark, they had swords. They were fighting this dark energy with swords. Isn't that? I mean, I
Oh,
thought that was awesome.
interesting.
It was so many layers to eternity of the angels
Right.
that are surrounding us right now, and I know that people are too. That I mean, the departed loved ones. I don't know
Right.
whether we turn into angels. I don't know. Kind of think sometimes we do turn into angels. I don't know how that exactly works, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, but I do believe, I tell people to go get your angel wings, and then you come back and see the family, right? So
Right.
that you don't get stuck, just so make sure. Because I did have a lady once tell me, she came to me when I was meditating, and she was one of my patients, and she did not want to leave because she had 5 grandchildren she wanted to be with. And so during my meditation, she said, Kim, I need help. I haven't left yet. And this is like 2 weeks after she died. And so I told her, I said, go get your angel wings, and then you can come back and be with your grandkids. And so then what I saw, literally, like that moment, that very second, I saw two angels coming up behind her. They were like blue, like light blue angels. And they were pushing her, like from her bottom, they were pushing her forward. They said, and I could hear them, and they were just like taking these little steps, and they said, hurry before she changes her mind. And pushing her on. And that's real. Yes. Yeah. It's amazing how much power we have, right?
Right. Well, it is, that is a reminder too, that it is free will until the end. I mean, it really, really, and beyond. I mean, we just always have our free will that's never taken from us, even during those crucial times, we still have it. So Kim, if people are dealing with this right now, I know I've had more readings about people dying, death, sickness, that kind of thing over the last year. And so I know there are lots of people dealing with this. What is something they can keep in mind that could make them feel better about what is happening, and where they're going, and how this will, what will happen to them? What can they keep in mind? And even some visuals they might be able to think of, that you can give them, that would give them comfort.
Yeah. I just thought when you were saying that, I saw a red heart. And I'm thinking, because love never ends. There's always that connection. And so even if they somehow made a red heart, painted a red heart, something, and put their name on it, and even just wore it, even in their bra or whatever, just maybe a necklace, right? Even that would be a reminder that person's always there, because whenever you think of them, they think of you. It's a two-way, and they can be multiple places at the same time. They can have 10 people thinking of them, and they can be everywhere.
Yep.
So also to know that family member is still really a part of the family. They're not missing any birthdays. They're not missing any holidays, nothing like that. They are there, and they know everything, and they can't really make us do things on this side, I mean, because again, we all have our own free will, but they might do some nudges. They might say, well, they whisper in your ear, like, take a turn right, or that book might be good. I'm going to make that book fall off the shelf, or
yeah, I call them promptings. They prompt you.
Yeah, little promptings. That's it. Exactly. And so to know that that's expected, and you've got like another angel, another person in the spirit world who's looking out for you, to know that. And also, I think it's helpful if you want to still have a place at the table for them. Have a chair and a table, a cup with, you can pour them their wine or whatever it is that they drank. I think that's also a nice thing to do for them.
That is such a nice thing to do.
They love also pictures of like if you have a little altar or something like that with their picture, they always talk about that, how much they really appreciate the being remembered.
Right.
And as far and yes, remember for their birthdays, but actually I think they like their new birthday better when they go to their new home better, to rehome, when they go back home. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't think of it that way. The birthday the other way.
Yes. Yeah, because it is
their exit date. Yeah. I understand that. So, and I know there's something else that you have been involved in, which is this book, which I think is beautiful, such a beautiful idea, especially now. So can you have it there, I think, and can you just tell people what it is and what chapter you're in, because you're in a chapter.
Yeah. Okay. So it's called The Last Breath. And this is published by Franklin Rose Publishing. And it's a compilation book by mediums from around the world. And so we all wrote a chapter, and I believe there's 40 of us. So, I have my chapter is chapter 32. And it was a wonderful experience to do this, because we got to meet as a group. And the stories are wonderful. It's not all about hospice, by the way. I mean, there might only be one other hospice story. Mine is a hospice story, but it's about Archangel Azrael, by the way. And that's a big angel. It's a really big angel. So but it's wonderful. What it is, it reminds people of the synchronicities in life that happen to everybody. And then may not even thought of it as a big deal, but this reminds people that everything is really sacred and there is so much synchronicity in our life. And so it's a very heartwarming book. I'm very proud to be part of it. And my friend is actually the publisher. She's Allison Gannon, she's actually one of my mediumship teachers as well, way back years ago. So she's a medium and psychic medium, and she has this publishing company now. And she's wonderful to work with. If anybody's wanting to also, right. I'm working on another book now, just for hospice stories. I want it to be more like a booklet, because I know I can only go probably about 100 pages.
Wow. Well, and that is, will that have stories in it? And also just kind of, because to me, I'm thinking maybe there should be like a handbook for people that have to, that have to go through this process or are going through this process, because there actually is, you talk about a few things you can actually do. You talk about like playing music, lighting candles, having like almost like a preparation.
Yes.
So it is almost like when you said that, I thought of a handbook. I'm like, but that is kind of,
yes,
that is kind of that. Yeah. So what do you tell people as far as if they're in that situation, what should they do to prepare that makes the transition just nicer, just better?
Sure. Well, first of all, honor the patient, like what feels good to them. Because that's most important, right? I mean, the family may have you may have 20 family members wanting 20 different things.
Right.
But so whatever it is the patient would like. But to me, you want to incorporate peace, right? Whatever the peaceful surrounding is, and honor how much interaction they want. Usually they want less interaction as they're going within and transitioning.
Right.
Less, they don't want their cousin from 5 generations ago or out there or whatever to come visit, right? It's just too much to process. So I do feel like planning, so like having a sacred space, whatever feels sacred to you. And I like the idea of candles, flowers, music, but it has to be simple music. So like lullabies or country music tend to be easier to process for the person who's dying, because everything's on slow motion for them.
Right.
So if you have something really complicated, that might cause agitation.
Oh, interesting.
So like even when you walk in the room, right, you imagine that they're in a slower mode. If I walked in at 50 miles an hour, sorry about that noise.
That's okay.
If I walked in really fast, that's going to be like, whoa, what happened, right? So you meet them where they are at a slower, slower pace, slower talking, slower everything, slower movement.
Okay. It's almost like the rhythm of the body is slowing down. So the rhythm of everything needs to slow down as well.
Yes, you want to match, right? Just like when you're working on the chakra, you want to match it. You want to match where they are. Obviously, if they're agitated and everything's going like this, you want to try to bring that down as much as possible, because that's not comfortable. I always also tell people to think of a ritual of transition that they want to do at the time of the last breath. Okay, that could be maybe you put a flower on their chest. It could be a prayer or a song or something like that, because if they don't think of it ahead of time, they might forget to do it.
Okay.
And it's such a nice little thing just to notice on this timeline of life. If they did one little thing that they can remember is special at that very moment, you know what I mean? To mark it. It's nice. It's a nice thing to do. Not everybody wants to, but and I also think of the colors, whatever, and I know I've mentioned this before, but to me, colors can be healing and calming, right? So like pinks, light colors, greens, blues, those sort of things, the yellows are healing. Okay. And I also even imagine, what's around the room, or what are they looking at? You don't want them to be looking at like the news.
Right.
If there's a big TV there, you might put a scarf over the TV or something.
Right.
Okay. So, you want to have as much beauty as possible. I know. And actually what I talk about in this chapter, The lady prepared the space beautifully. She had a shaman come in every morning. She was chanting.
Oh, wow.
Using essential oils to honor the sacredness of where they are. You can put the essential oils on the bottom of their feet or on the pillow. And just making it as beautiful. Just knowing when you're there, it is sacred and special because you can feel it. If you've been there, you feel the change.
Absolutely. Those are beautiful suggestions. I think and I think it gives people here something to do, because I think people want, what can I do because somebody's slipping away. It gives you something that you can do to be part of it, be part of the ritual, part of the experience. I think that's such a good idea, Kim. So good.
Yes.
Well, tell us about your channel, because your channel is a little bit of everything. What I've seen, it's kind of there's some stories there, but there's also some of you talk about mediumship. But what I really like is that you kind of go into your daily energy routine. You talk a little bit about self-care, which you talk about being, so important. And I think especially now, so important. So where can people find your channel?
Okay.
And what do you have coming up? And where do they find you if they want a reading?
Okay, sure. So my channel is Medium Kim, and it's all one word. Because if you do separate, you'll get Kim Rousseau, and I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of Kims. So Medium Kim, one word, and so that's my channel. My website is also Medium Kim, and so as far as upcoming, well, I just went. My channel's pretty new. And I was excited over the weekend. I got over 100 subscribers. Woohoo, right?
That's it. That was the magic number for me. I thought if I get 100, I'll keep doing it. If I don't, I will just hang it up.
So
good for you. That's great.
So I thought, I'm going to celebrate at that 100. What I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to have a group. I'm going to see who wants to come in for like a small group reading and just a private. Maybe have 5 to 10 people in a private Zoom call and do readings for everybody in the group. And I might have one reading with me. So that's what I thought I'd do to celebrate that. And so
that sounds great.
Fun. It's keeping me pretty busy actually right now. And I am. Let's see what else is coming up. And my next thing I want to talk about is colors. I really, really love color because it's one of the things that when I look at somebody when I'm starting to do a reading, I see their colors. I'm very visual. So even just starting a reading, it's like all of a sudden I get their life color, or maybe, what's going on in the throat chakra or whatever. And so I just know how important colors are. And so I want to talk about colors and chakras, even how you can, you can put a flashlight with a red silk, right? And you can change that chakra, just that. So little things like that. And to me, the energy medicine part, it's like basic to before everything else, because that's when I started seeing the angels and the departed loved ones is with energy medicine. And that's when my world like, whoa, this is amazing, and I like ETs, right? ETs are around too. ETs are here for healing as well. And I remember sitting on the table, I was receiving this session, and I saw like 6 green beings around me, and they were just laughing and happy, and they were helping send healing. So I guess what I'm saying is energy medicine is so important to keep us going, so that we can open up better. Yes, meditation is great. I think combining, so that's why that's why I'm sharing that information, because I think it's important and to make everybody feel better too, just to stretch. Oh, that's another thing I want to do. By the way, I just saw a blue angel right over in that corner. Okay, and I still haven't figured out what the little, I see little, more like, I don't know if you can see that size. It's about the size of a Christmas bulb, right? Light, Christmas light bulb kind of thing, one of the bigger ones. And that's how I see little spirits, but I actually haven't figured out what that is, because I also see the angels like regular sized. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's interesting. Well, and because I do a lot of like orb working with orbs. And I think that sometimes I think sometimes the orb is actually the spirit.
Yes.
But I sometimes think that the smaller ones are just almost like pieces of energy. It's almost like they're sending a piece of themselves. So I wonder if that's what that is. Maybe just a portion of their energy, not the whole spirit. Maybe it's just a portion.
Yeah, but I
don't
think
know.
it represents the whole.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? It's not like they're not like all there. They are all there, but maybe that's what
yeah,
it's see. That's I think
yeah.
that's right.
It's just a
Because
portion.
actually
Yeah.
sometimes I've seen that and I know it's a guide. But I also know
Okay.
but I don't think it's always a guide. I think it can also be a departed loved one. So
Right.
it's confused, you know, so I haven't really figured it out.
There's a
Exactly.
lot to figure out. There's a lot to figure out. I always have to say that. It's like, when I do a reading, I'm like, I don't know everything. I just know this little bit. This is what I'm seeing, and that's it. That's all I can tell you. But that's it's something.
Yes, yes. So I was going to say, when another thing I want to talk about is how to reduce stress. You know,
Oh,
what we
yeah.
can do for ourselves, and how to. That's another important thing right now, because people are having a lot of stress right now.
Yes,
For
absolutely.
a lot of
So much
reasons.
stress. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to take another couple of years of just healing, I think, from
Yes.
this past year, from the trauma, from the loss, pain, all everything. It's going to take a while to get past this. And I think a lot of people will be seeking and searching
Yeah.
for remedies, things to help, whether it's spiritual things, or whether it is healing remedies and things like that. It's gonna be a lot of people seeking out what will help them, because people are going to have to we're going to have to move on somehow, and it's going to be a big transition, I think, for a lot of people.
I think so too. But I do feel the way I'm seeing it right now, even as you're talking, it feels like this whole huge like gathering to me. I feel like we're just like one team,
Mm-hmm.
this team that we are seeking the light on earth, and
Yeah.
however that shows up in our life. And I see them moving forward, like unstoppable.
Yeah, it's building. It's building.
Yes.
It really is. It really is building. It's something that is, I think it's reaching a crescendo in some ways,
Yes.
but it's amazing. It really is amazing. It's an amazing time to be alive, I think. And
Yes.
yeah, I think that's amazing what you do, Kim. Thank you so much for the work that you do. And thanks for doing your channel. I think people will really appreciate it. So,
Thank you, Kim.
and thank you for being on today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I
No,
really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you, Kim. You're such a sweetheart. I've had readings from you a long time ago. You probably don't remember me.
Oh, well, I hope it was a good reading.
No, yes, it was, obviously. And I've been following you, so thank you so much. And I really appreciate being here and being able to share with you too. So
Oh, thank you so much, Kim.
okay.
Okay, everybody, thank you for coming, and thank you for hanging out with us, and we will talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.